Merry Christmas again, everyone. Thanks for holding on over the break.
Welcome back.
Please do support our sponsors. There's a number of people that have helped this show continue so far. And that DirecTV sponsor, those people are looking for a good way to watch great movies. Give them a call. And the Dick Walsh, of course, with his great construction company, and Peter Finnegan. Jim Finnegan, I'm sorry. Jim Finnegan, all the great work he does, and all the other people that have sponsored us. Please do call, get in contact with me if there's a way you can help us. John, we got to go back. There's a few more lessons that we need to draw about life from
Jimmy Stewart, from this movie, It's a Wonderful Life. We went at the break that he has some lessons to teach us in this movie about
the present problems.
Yeah, our current problems.
Yeah.
What might those be?
In order to set that, I think I'd like to ask the listeners to. I saw a cartoon not too long ago that portrayed big business as a big, fat, rich man stepping on the small commoner. Matter of fact, I was at a presentation from our diocese, and there was a presentation, a PowerPoint presentation that did just that. The great evil people of today are the big business people.
I know people who think that.
Yeah, but I think they need to really reassess. Of course, there can be selfishness, wickedness in the big business people. There could be selfishness and wickedness in the small people as well, that are not so wealthy. But today, I think there's a new landscape, and unfortunately, the government is more and more taking that role as the big fat person in the cartoon. The government has been growing and growing and growing, and is the only aspect of the economy that's growing, and that as the government steps on the business people, there is a different dynamic that is going on. If you remember, this is what good old Mr. Potter. No, this is what Jimmy Stewart's dad says to Jimmy Stewart when Jimmy Stewart's trying to get out of town.
This town is no place for any man unless he's willing to crawl to Potter. Now, you've got talent, son. I've seen it. You get yourself an education and get out of here.
No place unless you crawl to Potter. And in some way, it's almost like you could say that politics isn't any good unless you're willing to crawl to your political bosses. Who's going to buy your vote? Who's going to buy your vote? Who's going to... The common attitude about politics, which is so popular today, is I will vote for whoever gives me the most stuff.
Self-interest.
It's a self-interest, yeah. Where you ask what is good for me vis-a-vis or as opposed to what is good for society in general. It takes a very big person to see a particular position, a political or a social issue, as being better for society and may not be the best for me.
But where do you see today government as the bad guy? Give me some evidence.
Those politicians that would say, I will give you more in tax breaks. I will give you the better health care. I will give you better retirement benefits, especially if you work for me, if you're a federal employee, et cetera. But even if not, all these other benefits. But please just allow me this one foible, if you will. Let me keep abortion legal. Let me keep abortion legal, and then I'll take care of you. And those of us who say, no, I don't, there's something wrong with abortion, but I'm going to have to turn a blind eye for this. I'll sell my soul on this point if you're going to take care of me. So therefore, it's kind of a buying of your vote when you set your principles aside. John, remember when we were young, when we were in grade school, there was a commercial that I remember distinctly. One of the famous journalists of the day had an interview with a young black child. and they were talking about the N word, which was so popular back in those days, and the civil rights movement was begging or telling the black people not to accept that word. And the journalist held a $10 bill in front of a young black boy's eyes and said, "I'll give you this $10 bill if you use the N word." And the boy stood there and said, "No, no, no." And the journalist patted him on the back. That's kind of that was the spirit that inspired the civil rights. No, I will not give up this principle, even if you pay me this. Well, what's happening today? But let's go back to Jimmy Stewart, because remember when they were talking about the bank loans and how we're dealing with bank loans today. But here's what they dealt with in not Pottersville, Bailey's Park.
But ideals without common sense can ruin this town. Now, you take this loan here to Ernie Bishop. I happen to know the bank turned down this loan, but he comes here, and we're building him a house worth $5,000.
Okay, that's an issue going on today, and especially more conservative citizens are a little frustrated with the way the banks did the loans. We were passing out a lot of loans for people who couldn't afford them.
Yes.
And in a sense, there's a side of our conservative movement that's mimicking what Potter is saying here today, or in the movie. I mean, we get uncomfortable with it, but don't you think there was something different about the character of the people? They were given loans, and maybe it took longer to pay them off, but there was more loyalty in paying, and there weren't as many defaults. I guess we were saying helping a brother, helping a neighbor is always a risk. It's always a risk.
Yeah, certainly you wouldn't see in today's banking world a banker use his own money to keep the doors of the bank open, like in the movie. You would not see.
There's a self-sacrificing that pulls us out of crises. A self-sacrificing that pulls us out of crises.
They sell their mortgages over and over and over.
Yeah. But listen here, now you may not know this, John, but there was a remake of It's a Wonderful Life.
I did not know that.
I didn't know this, and I happen to have a copy of it, actually, and you have to listen carefully because you may know what Jimmy Stewart, when he was in the bank and he was trying to calm the people down when there was a run on the bank, he's explaining to the people how we got to stick together. But there's an old dusty edition of It's a Wonderful Life that I want to share with the folks with their, so let's listen to this other edition.
If Washington gets a hold of this building on a loan, there'll never be another decent house built in this town. He's already got charge of the bank, he's got the bus line, he got the department stores, and now he's after us. Why? Well, it's very simple, because we're cutting in on his business, that's why. And because he wants to keep you living in his slums and paying the kind of rent he decides. Can't you understand what's happening here? Don't you see what's happening?
The president
isn't selling.
The president
is buying. And why? Because we're panicky and he's not. That's why. He's picking up some bargain. Now, we can get through this thing all right.
I never heard that version.
Didn't hear that. It's a very interesting version.
That's a few extra words in there.
Because the same kind of dilemma that George Bailey was trying to tell the people, the big business person who's buying up everything, is what's happening today. Big business isn't buying up things. It's government that's taken over 1/6 of the economy when it's trying to take over the healthcare industry, and they took over GM. There's a kind of a sense of okay, I'm taking. I mean, we need to heed those words of Jimmy Stewart. He's not selling. The government's not selling now. They're taking advantage of the weakness, and we can get through this if we stick together. In that sense. There's I guess we can't talk about we can't leave It's a Wonderful Life without bringing the marvelous message about the end of our John. I'd like to use the one from The Bell. Without the bell, we don't really get the full meaning of It's a Wonderful Life, because this is where the angels works the best. That was the different clip. Let's close with this one, though. Number 9, John, because this is a special gift to my brother John, who's accompanied me here on this radio show, and this is Christmas Day. There's another edition of It's a Wonderful Life. Listen carefully to this rendition of the end of It's a Wonderful Life.
Okay.
To my big brother,
John,
the richest man in town.
Merry Christmas.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Merry Christmas out there, everybody. Keep your Bibles open and your hearts open.
Thank you for listening to Unlike Other Nations with your hosts, the Coys brothers, John and Father Tom. If you see the need for programming such as this, please pray for this ministry and consider a financial gift. No amount is too small. Send your check to Immaculate Conception Parish, 2745 West 44th Street, Chicago, Illinois, 60632. Make your checks out to Immaculate Conception. If you'd like to ask a question or would like prayer, send Father Coys an email at ftcoys@aol.com or John at coys2900@comcast.net. You can also listen to archived shows on YouTube by searching for Unlike Other Nations Radio. Help us keep Lincoln's hope alive. We have been and still remain the last best hope of mankind. Tune in next Sunday morning at 11:30 for another edition of Unlike Other Nations right here on AM 1160.